is Paola Dawson, and today I'll be teaching you how to paint a dog. It's the dog I'll be doing. Okay, pretty easy, simple, clean picture. My recommendation is that you pick a picture that you can easily see the dog's features and there's a good amount of light, so that way you can clearly see the dog. Don't get anything blurry or too far away. Alright, so first I'm going to start by doing a quick sketch. Now, simple tips on how to sketch your picture, your dog. First of all, I want you to look at it by simplifying the shapes that you see. Pretty much, I'm going to look at primary shapes that we learned when we were young, like triangles and circles and squares, all of that. That's how I'm going to look at this picture. I'm going to forget the fact that this is a dog in front of me and it's got too many details and it's kind of scary to draw it. I don't think I can do it. So I'm just going to simplify, forget about the sense that it's a dog. So first I'm going to just kind of drawing the ears here, and I can see that they are triangular shape, and just going to keep going, doing that. And then the head, as you can see, it's a little bit of a circle. So, and then I see actually the eyes are two circles, and try to use the like the ears and all the other shapes that you see around to kind of measure the proportions and the location where, you know, the ear stands to the eye. So kind of try to evaluate that. And I see here the nose in comparison to the head, it would be about a little bit below center of the ear. And I can see this little white area. Look at the reference quite a bit, so that way you know what you're drawing. You're not just kind of imagining in your head. You're looking and you're drawing. You're just transferring from your eyes to your hands. Adding a little extra detail too, as you can see here. So I would start pretty much, actually I started with the ears here, but I should have started with the head. Start with the head and then add the other shapes around it. So adding a couple of extra details. Alright, now just look at the proportions and the position of different things, different items in relation to each other. Make sure it makes sense. Alright, very good. You can also, by using shapes, kind of separate and draw out values. Like if you see a shadow, you can draw the shape of that shadow, so when you paint, you know where to place it. So I'm kind of doing that. I see it almost like a little of a triangular shadow underneath the eye here, and a triangular shadow above the eye right over here. So you can also draw that as a reference. Now the drawing is supposed to be just a quick sketch, so that way you can see where things are. This is just for placement. Okay? Alright, very good. I'm not going to draw the whole body, I'm just going to go up to the neck here. Alright, very nice. So now I'm going to get started with the background, and I'm just going to get a little bit of a larger brush than I will do for the dog. I have here a filbert. You can use a filbert, a flash, a flat, or a bright brush. Anything that will cover a little bit of a larger area. I'm going to use this phthalo blue, and I'm going to paint it a little bit darker around the dog. So from here I'm going to now add some white. I didn't even clean my brush, so I just added white to the brush. And I'm going to go up and down. Okay, all right. Nothing too fancy, but good enough. Now I'm gonna let it stand so it can dry, okay? I'm gonna make this flat, let it dry. Okay, my background is now dry and I'm ready to get started with the face. Okay, very nice. So just a few tips here on the brushes. I like to use rather older brushes to paint my dogs because the bristles are a little bit, you know, used, and they're not very sharp, and then they create some nice little texture, some texture for the hairs. So I like to use, right now I'm going to be using a small angular brush, but you can use a round brush, a flat brush, whatever you may have. Just go with it. Keep trying. Actually, whenever you paint, see what each brush does, and you'll be able to make a better decision on what brush to use for what. So right now I'm going to get started with this one. Now the first step on painting your dog is we're going to add all the shadows. We're going to paint from dark to light. I'm going to start here with black because this dog is black, and I will start, and it has different variations, different values here, some grays, a little bit of a brown. So I'm going to start with black, my darkest color, and I'm going to see where do I see the darkest areas. I'm just going to block it. The areas that I don't see pure black, I'm going to pretty much skip, leave it empty. And here on the sides, I can see some hairs, little fuzzy hairs sticking out. This brush is going to be great for that because it doesn't have a sharp edge, so it's going to create a little bit of a fuzzy stroke too of hair. I love that. Okay, so now where I see those empty areas, I'm going to add a middle tone, a middle value. So I'm going to make a little bit of a brownish color because I don't want him to just be black and white. I want to add a lot of color to it so that way it can, you know, be a little bit richer. So it's a dark brown, but it's still a brown. So in a brown, inside a brown, we have some reds, we have a little bit of blue, we have some yellow. All of those colors, your primary colors, when mixed together, they will make a nice, beautiful brown. And it depends on how much of each color that you want to mix, that it will either be more of a brown towards a reddish brown or a yellow brown. Okay, so I have a little bit of a reddish brown here, a little bit. And I'm going to go on those areas that I left blank. I'm going to fill it in. Where you see white, and it's actually white on the dog, I'm not going to just leave it white and then paint white over that because it would just be too flat. So I'm going to add a little bit of a wash of whatever color, either the brown or the black, just a little bit of a see-through, very transparent glaze over it, just so that way when I add the white, it's going to have a little bit of depth, another layer underneath, and it's not going to be just white on white. Okay, I never recommend just painting white on white. Add another layer underneath and then paint your whites on top of it. And in the ears, I see some red. Most dogs' ears on the inside are red. You start finding that commonality in a lot of the animals. When you paint animals, they have a lot in common. Sometimes here around the lips, sometimes it gets a little red as well. Very good, very good. Now what about the eyes, you may ask, right? Because his eyes here are pretty light. It's almost like it's white. I'm not going to leave it white either. I'm going to make it a little bit of a gray. And then I'll bring in the light and highlight it and do all of that. Okay, so here's our dog. Finished. Just kidding. Not finished yet. Okay, so now we're going to start adding more details to it. Okay, first of all, I'm going to add we went from dark to middle to medium, like a middle value, and now we're going to a lighter value. Okay, so I'm going to create those highlights that you see around the face. So I just added some white to that little grayish brownish color that I made. Add some whites to it and get started. So sometimes I use my easel as a palette, and that's why you see all this. I like it just to flow. So I'm looking at light now, but I don't want to cover all the other colors that I've added. I want to leave those layers there, some of it showing through. So when you go from dark to light, you go bigger with the light, medium with the middle value, and then smaller with the highlight. That's usually how it goes. Let's see, a little bit over here. You can use the roughness of your brush to create the texture that you want, or even the texture of the canvas itself. We'll leave a nice little rough, some texture. Oops. Adding some movement here in the ear. There's a lot going on in the ear, a lot of details. I'm not going to do all that. I'm actually going to change brushes. I'm going to get another little rough round brush that I have, just so I can have more more control, because it's smaller, and I'm painting a smaller area. And I'm just kind of playing around here. I see some folds happening, so I'm just going to go like that with my brush and create an illusion of folding cartilage. And if you have to add your black again, that's okay. Okay, so now I'm going to start adding the white. So I'm going to go over that already washed out layer, and with using this nice rough brush, now old brush, I can create some nice hairs as I go from inside out. I pull the brush, and then it leaves some nice little hairy strokes towards the edges. I'm going to kind of follow how his hair is growing over here. In the middle it's kind of growing down, and then We have a little bit of here for the, okay. Now I'm gonna go into here the face, and the hairs are kind of growing up. They're flowing upwards. So I'm gonna go with my strokes upwards. So you can follow the same pattern of the hair. And then I'm gonna follow the shape here. See how it's curved? So I'm kind of curving my brush. And just release the pressure as you pull the brush in, and you will see the little nice edges, hairy edges. Okay, very, very nice. And it's not completely covered because you don't want it to just be super white. You want it to have some of that underneath color showing. You can have maybe wider areas, which will also create more dimension. So I'm going to make something like that. Okay, very nice. Now I'm going to go into the nose, and I'm going to apply the same steps as I did with the face, but with the nose. So I painted all black. Now I'm going to go with my middle value, kind of like here on top of where the light's hitting, and then bringing it down a little more. And may have to add some more black again because I can't see it. May have covered it. Yeah. So I'm going to restart here, painting it all black so you can see the process. All black, middle tone towards the top, and then I'll bring it down a little bit in the middle here and on the sides. I'm going to reshape the nostril using a sharper, more defined brush. I like to have those old rough brushes, but then a nice brush with a nice point and edge, so that way you can do details. Okay, because creating detail with a rough old brush can be tricky. It's just not gonna behave. And then I'm gonna make a black line, a line that goes in the middle of the nose here, in the lower part of the body, and the nose, and it goes kind of down to the lip, to the lips, to the mouth. Most dogs have that. You will see that. Okay, it's a little bit too wet, but I'm gonna go back to it. In the meantime, when an area is drying, I try not to over paint it. Let it dry, go to another area. I'm gonna do the shape of the eye here, which is a nice circle. I had painted it gray. No, it's gonna be much lighter than this. Make it round again. Make it round. Looks pretty round. Maybe a little bit pinched towards the inside. It's not that round. His eyes are wide open. Seeing something. Maybe the flash of the camera. Taking the picture. And then I'm making a little circle for the eyeball, for the pupil. Very good, very good. See some of that. Alright. In the meantime, let me kind of reinstate this, because this gives it a nice expression to the dog. And I wanted to add a sharper. Good. Alright. So now, we'll go back to the nostril here. Actually, instead of going to the nostril, because it's still kind of wet, I'm going to add a few different, these little dots here. Even though you may not see much on the picture, I know they're there. It's just part of like hair follicles for the little hairs. The little whiskers. I know dogs also have whiskers, not only cats, and you want to make sure that you make them, you draw them. Make sure you reload the brush. I see a lot of people when they paint, they start painting with a dry brush. They're so into it that they don't realize that they need to reload their brush, especially for little fine lines like this. You want to make sure you have paint on your brush. See little hairs here. Now it's time for you to add all the details. Okay. Okay. Go back now to the nostril, and right underneath here the nostril, most of the time you will find a highlight. Okay, and you will find, let me get a little bit of a bigger brush, changing my brushes here really quick, a little highlight right up top here on the tip of the nose. It's too wet. Make the highlights even brighter. I'm painting with acrylics, and acrylic paint tends to dry slightly darker than what you see when it's wet. Okay, so sometimes you have to repaint those highlights because when it was wet it was pretty bright, but then when it dried it's like, where is it? I thought I did a highlight there. And it's gone. So just be aware of that little phenomenon. Remember, you can go back and forth. Okay, let's... Alright, so I painted the eyes just a slightly light gray. And then, this is a nice little trick that I do with every eye that I paint. I add a little bit of make a white dot somewhere in the same place in both eyes, and then opposite from that dot, so I made the dot here on the right side, I'm going to make like a comma with a highlight, as if the light is going through the eyes and shining on the other side, through the irises, and then, see? Alright. This is just a little trick. It adds another sparkle to the painting. Okay, so final details, adding just little strokes here and there. Now, you can keep working on it over and over, but I'm satisfied with my results. I don't want to do too much, and I want to make it simple enough so you can see that you can also do this. Alright, just follow the steps that I showed you and paint your picture. Paint your dog. Have fun doing it. Alright, I just want to show you that I can... Oh, sorry. So, I'm pretty satisfied with my painting now. I don't want to make it too complicated. I just want to show you that you can also do the same. Just make sure that you follow those steps that I showed you. Hopefully it will help you and guide you through your painting. And don't forget, keep painting and check out more videos to come. Thank you. Bye-bye. No. Alright, I'm pretty satisfied with my painting. I don't want to make it too complicated. I want to make it simple enough that you can also do it, and you can see that it's not that hard. Just follow those steps and try to do your best. Have fun doing it. Now, as you can see, here's my painting. Now here's my reference. Pretty similar. As long as you can recognize the dog, that's all that matters. Have fun doing it. Check out more videos to come and stay tuned.